Hey you, welcome. Today I am swatching the Derwent Procolour colored pencils, and I have the 72 set. And I am swatching on my own little swatch page that I created with my own hands using a fountain pen. Yes. And I am coloring an element in The Romantic Country by Erie. This is the page, and I'll be coloring the little basket with the flowers. Introducing the Derwent Procolour colored pencils. I have the 72 set. I bought these in September. Now I'm ready to swatch them with you. I have not opened these. They are still in the plastic, as you can see. It comes in, of course, a nice little tin here. One of the things that I am so glad about is that these came packaged very well in an individual box, and then it was also inside of a bigger box, which I can appreciate because I have ordered Derwent from Amazon, and I have gotten my tin all dented and messed up, but not the case with dickblick.com. I have not sharpened them. I probably will not sharpen them before swatching, but I will, of course, sharpen a few of them when I get ready to color. It comes shrink wrapped here. It comes in a tin. Lately, I've just been storing my pencils in the tin because I find that it doesn't take up a lot of room in my little storage unit. But these are the pencils. We have the top row here, and you can see that the colors of the pencil is indicated on the cap, the end here. Ooh, I'm smelling these pencils, and they smell so good. And then here is the bottom row here. This is the typical Derwent, classic Derwent pencil here. You see, it feels pretty good in my hand. It's not too heavy and not too light or too skinny. It has the lettering on the side, which is always good. Derwent Procolour. It has the actual color of the pencil, which is ultramarine, and it has the number here, which is 31. And I actually like the way their pencils look. That's probably why I have so many pencils in the Derwent range. They have some type of sleekness and quality about them that I really like. So I'm going to put them back in here, but they smell so good. And I'm going to go ahead and get to swatching the pencils for you. All right, let's start swatching. Today I am swatching on some colored pencil paper. This is paper that one would use if you were creating some art or an illustration using colored pencils. I could not find my little swatch book, so I brought out this, this colored pencil paper that I have. One of the things that you may notice in the lime is that there is some dark green. And that dark green is a point of contamination. It shouldn't be there. Also, as I swatch, I notice that there are some pencils that have a little bit of contamination in it with another color, but I don't think it is a major issue for me because there were not a lot of pencils like that. Also, the first thing that I notice when I'm swatching is how smooth and even the laydown is of these pencils. They glide nicely across the paper without feeling waxy or too soft. They're just perfect. They have that perfect middle balance, okay? The pigment comes through cleanly, and I'm not getting a lot of crumbling or dust as I go. Now, I did notice that I had a little bit of crumbling, but usually that would happen when I was pressing down too hard. But for the most part, there is no crumbling and dust. You just have to be mindful of how much pressure you add. So this is a great sign for me. It lets me know that these pencils are predictable and I know exactly where the color is going. That makes them super easy to control. The geranium lake color is a lovely color. I like that. And I also like the crimson lake. Now this one, this is pale peach, but it says flesh pink. So I got my list off of Derwent's website. They might need to update that because the names on some of the colors have changed. Well, I ran into just this one color here, and that kind of threw me for a loop. I'm like, this says 16 is flesh pink, not pale peach, but I got it. It's not updated through their site. This pink madder lake is really cute. Now here is where I'm getting a little bit of contamination in here. That's why I picked up the pencil and looked at it like I did. But there are some pretty colors in this section here. I just had to point out the geranium lake and the crimson lake, and I like the plum. Those are some colors that I really like. And here is the cerise pink. I like that as well. I like all of these colors. The magenta. I really, really like the Mars violet. Yeah, I haven't gotten to it yet, but I like the Mars violet. It is nice. It's nice. I really like how it goes down on the paper. It's so smooth, and that pigment is just coming out really, really nice. And I noticed that with the pencils that have really good light fastness, they come out so smooth and just like wham bam, I'm here. And that is how Mars violet is. That's how heather is, and the soft violet is like that too. But as light as it is, you would think that that shouldn't have a light fast of 8, but it does. The imperial purple is so nice. All right, let me stop stop talking about these colors, but these are some very nice colors, and I do have my favorites here, and I just can't be quiet about them. Dark violet is pretty, and now we're going into the blues, and the blues are pretty as well. Yes, they are. The deft blue, I like that. It's different. And then going on into the mid ultra marine. Look at that. And it has a light fastness of 8. And it goes down like so smooth. So smooth. Now that I've swatched a few of these shades, I have to let you know that I am impressed with the vibrancy of these pencils. The colors are rich and saturated, but you can also achieve softer tones as you see what I'm doing with a lighter hand as I swatch the pencils. The versatility is something I really appreciate with these pencils. The range itself is lovely. You get a nice mix of earth tones, bright primaries, muted neutrals, and deeper jewel shades. So I am all done with the first tray of pencils. Check it out. I really, really like these pencils. I love the way they look. They are, I would say, concentrated with pigment, especially when you start putting pressure down. One of the things you should also know is that when I'm swatching, I'm getting very, very minimal crumbles. And also I noticed that some of the pencils, even starting with the first one, there was some contamination of a darker color there. And a little bit of contamination here and here. But as I went on down, I didn't experience that. I love the blues. I'm so glad to have more blues than what I had. I think I had a few of the blues, but I didn't have as many. And I think there's more blues that I'm going to be swatching on the other side. I love these colors. They look so earthy. And I think that's why I like Derwent's color palette. The number over here to the right of the colors that I have swatched, these are the light fastness numbers. These numbers let you know how long this color would last if it's exposed to light. The Derwent scale for these pencils, they say if it's 6, it is good, 7, very good, and 8, excellent. So if you are coloring something that you want to gift to someone or frame something for yourself or even frame something to give away, then you may want to pay close attention to the pencils that you use, because you do want that gift or that particular page that you are coloring and framing, or even drawing for that matter, to last for a long time. So pay attention to the numbers that they have related to the colors. And I got the light fastness off of their website. That's where I got it. And at the bottom of the page here, it tells you what the light fastness ratings are. Let's talk layering and blending. As you already know, I do have experience with using these pencils. I purchased a 24 set back in, I believe, May, and then I turned around and bought 12 more of these pencils in June. So I can easily add several layers without the surface getting waxy or slick. But do know, if you do come up with that happening, you getting a waxy or slick surface with any pencil, you can fix that with using some mineral spirits or other items that you may be able to use to kind of get that up melted with whatever blender type of situation you're using. But being that the surface doesn't get waxy and slick so quickly, this means that you can create depth and dimension without fighting the paper. So you don't have to worry about, oh, I can't do any more color because the paper won't let me. Well, you don't have to worry about that with these pencils, especially if you are going in light and then adding it layers by layer. You know, you don't want to go in heavy, because if you do, you can't get any more color down. And I mentioned that a little bit later in the video. Blending feels smooth and natural too. You can create soft transitions just by adjusting, of course, your pressure. And the colors do mix together cleanly without causing it to look muddy. They feel very beginner friendly, but also capable of more advanced techniques. One of the things that I like about the Procolour color pencil palette is it's the kind of palette that works beautifully across different types of pages, from florals to fantasy scenes. I have a page that I did in Kanoko Agusa's book, the Leon's Journey coloring book, and that first page, I'm going to pop it up on the screen for you. I love that because the colors just look so vibrant, and I did use layers on there. So florals, they got you. From water scenes, they got you. From fantasy scenes, these pencils got you. Okay, so that's what I really like about these pencils, the palette in general. And then what I find with Derwent pencils in general is that the palette is that earthy type of palette that I think I am drawn to, and Derwent has it. I have the Derwent Procolour 10 in front of me, and I want to share some information with you about the colored pencils. On the top of the 10, it says strong, smooth, clean colored pencils. And on the bottom of the 10, this is what it says. Derwent Procolour pencils are the perfect combination of a strong point and smooth laydown, with a texture that has the covering power of wax, yet glides like an oil. The richly pigmented pencils maintain a sharp point for detailed drawing, while minimal chipping and dusting keeps your work clean and smudge free. Suitable for a wide range of drawing techniques, available in a carefully selected range of 72 rich and vibrant colors. The swatch is complete, and this is how everything looks. I love the amount of blues they have as well as greens, but it's something about Derwent's greens. They just look different from anything I've seen. Yeah, everything just looks so natural to me. I started this page in another video where I was showing you about doing the background. I chose 3 colors here that I'm going to use on the basket here. I'm going to start off with my lightest color, and I am going to lay down some color very lightly because I want to see how they blend as well as how they layer. So when you are starting off with your coloring, you don't want to go in real heavy with your colored pencil. You want to go in light, especially if you are going to be blending as well as layering. You don't want to go in heavy because when you go in heavy, you're going to start off with a lot of color and you won't be able to go anywhere with it. You're going to be stuck. Out of Johanna Basford's book, but I wanted to do something else in a different book that has possibly different colors of paper, right? So that's why I'm doing this here. Plus I want paper, right? So that's why I'm doing this here. Plus I want to try different colors that I did not possibly try in the other video because I just did not have the colors at the time. So I'm going in here very lightly. And you see I'm light-handed. My hand is pretty much midway on the pencil, but my pressure is very light. So you notice that my pressure is light, but I'm still getting pretty good lay down from this pencil. I don't know why, but I like pencils that are not overly waxy, but I like a little wax in here because I like to layer my colors. So in a future video, I think I'm going to do a comparison video with these and polychromos as well as Prismacolor. I was going to do that in this video, but I didn't feel that comfortable doing that right now. So give me a couple of more weeks to months, then I probably will be able to do a good comparison of those 3 pencils to the Procolour. I'm keeping my pencils light, which means my hand is light. My pressure is light. So I have some color here and I want to go in. I chose Venetian red because I want the basket to kind of have a brown tint to it with a hint of red to it. So I'm going to go in here and see how this blends, but I see that it's going in here fairly nicely. This is Venetian red. And I'm trying to go in certain areas to bring it in here into this color, which is Sunset Gold. And it's working pretty good. Had I gone in here too heavy, I probably wouldn't be able to do this. So I always start off light-handed, unless you know that, hey, I want to put all the color here on this particular element, then go for it. But if you are wanting to layer and you want to add depth and do some blending, then you have to be light-handed. I had to learn that the hard way. I had to learn that the hard way. I don't know how well you guys can see this. As you can see, I left a little white space here. I'm going to turn the light down just a little because I don't think you can really see what I'm doing, because my light is bumped up and it tends to wash stuff out. So I'm going in here and blending this into here. Like so, like that. I'm going to do that for the other places here. I started to color the pumpkin, but I figure y'all probably are bored of you probably like over pumpkins. I know I kind of am. I've been coloring a lot of pumpkins with my other pages this month. And so I'm kind of over pumpkins right now. I thought this would be cool to do. And see how it's just blending in here on top, and it's not really sitting on top, so to speak. It's going in there, and I have a little bit of color coming down into the sunset gold. Well, yeah, sunset gold. And I'm just blending it in there, and it's working so nicely. And my pressure is not heavy. I forgot to mention that I have a new pencil sharpener. Let me bump this light back up again. I have a new pencil sharpener. It's a swordfish. I think that's what it is, and it is amazing. I love the pencil sharpener. And when I started using that pencil sharpener, I noticed that I don't have a lot of breakage with my pencils. So I will link that down below if you're interested. I learned about the swordfish pencil sharpener from a person here on YouTube who does pastel art. He's an artist. He does pastels, uses pastel pencils. And at the time, I didn't buy the pencil sharpener. When I learned about it from him, I actually went and took the plunge after I saw somebody else talk about it on Reddit. And they showed how sharp their pencils were. I said, let me go ahead and get this pencil sharpener. And that was probably one of the best things that I have ever done, is buy that pencil sharpener, because it gets these pencils sharp. And also, the pencil lead doesn't break. I've used my Prismacolors in there and polychromos. Work very, very nicely. Now, I have my Venetian red, and I'm going to go in with Copper Beach. And I'm going to put Copper Beach in certain areas, kind of in between the Venetian red in certain areas. I don't want to go over the Venetian red with this, because this is a darker color. Copper Beach, I'm sorry. And so I kind of want to put this color in areas where I want more of a, as we would say, a shadow or a depth. See, I put some there. And I may need to turn my light down just a little bit so you can see what I'm doing here. But my hand pressure is light, and I'm just making little circles. This is a darker shade, I would say, of brown. The Venetian red is, to me, like a brown red, brownish red. I'm going to go in here and put this here. Now, I want y'all to know that I didn't have a plan for this. I just picked out some colors that I thought would look pretty decent. And so I hope you get the concept that I'm going for. See, right here, I want some shadow. So I'm going to place my Copper Beach a little bit under here, under this little napkin here, whatever that is, or cloth, to kind of make it look like there's a shadow there. You see that? So I went in with a little bit more pressure. And I'm going to go light-handed right here. Because eventually I'm going to come in with more color. But that's why with these pencils, I start out light. And then I increase my pressure when I am pretty much done and I have the look I'm going for. Now, if you don't like using pencils where you have to kind of layer, you don't really have to layer with these. If you want a soft look, when I want a soft look, I go for these pencils. All the time, I'll grab them. But when I want something bold and vibrant, I'm going to grab my Prismacolors. Yeah, I'm going to grab the Prismacolors for that. Or the Polychromos, because they tend to have a lot of color. Using these, I can be light and go in there with a very light hand, and it will look so soft and nice. Yeah, so I'm just going in the areas where I want some of this darker brown to be, or this Copper Beach to be. And I'm going to go right in here. When it comes to coloring right now, I'm just going by what I feel. And you have to make sure you look at what you're doing. Look at what you're doing and place the color where you want it to be. I'm going to put some more darker brown right up under here for a shadow look, okay? A shadow effect, or I forget what the term is. But I want it to be evident that there's a difference in the colors and the tone of the pencils here. When I get everything the way I want it to be, I tend to go back over it with a lighter color, okay? And we have that. And I do that because I feel like, okay, that seals the deal. That's like I'm blending everything in. If there's any white tooth of the paper that's showing, that's going to get it, but not, you know, make it look too bad, so to speak. But coloring is all about having fun. Don't stress out too much over it. I have my sunset going. I'm going to take this and put probably medium pressure because I'm done trying to color this basket here. And this is going to give me a little bit more color. You see how that went darker? But when I first started, it was pretty light because my pressure was light, but I want this to show through now. And it can go over the brown that I have already laid down. Be creative. Think outside the box when you're coloring. Don't worry and stress so much about how the colors are coming together. In time, you will learn and discover what works and what you like to do. You don't always have to do stuff the way you see other people do it. Dare to be bold. Dare to step out and do different things from what you see other people doing. But don't look at what other people are doing too hard, because you may look too hard and say, "Ugh, I can't do this. My stuff is ugly. My pictures are ugly. I'm not going to color anymore." Don't do that. When you look at people's art and what they do, just take it as inspiration, and so that you can learn to do what it is that you do. But I always try to do you. and stay true to what you can do and who you are as a colorist. Because I don't try to be like anybody, because I know I'm not all that when it comes to coloring, but I try. And I always try to think outside of the box. All right, so this is my basket. I think it looks good. What I would do now, and I'm going to do that on camera, I want to see how well this does with my odorless mineral spirits. I have my mineral spirits, but I want to show you these little flags. I colored these little flags with my polycolor color pencils, okay? And what I did is I tried to keep the colors consistent. Purple, 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 red, 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 green, green, and yellow, of course. And so what I also did is that I went in with some mineral spirits, odorless mineral spirits, and I cleaned it up to make it really smooth, because it really wasn't all that smooth. You can go in with a pencil blender, a colorless pencil blender, and you can smooth it out, or you can take a quick route and use some odorless mineral spirit, or you can use an alcohol marker, an alcohol marker that is clear, okay, clear, and it will get you straight. Or you can just use probably straight up alcohol, but don't tell nobody I told you that. Now, I haven't tried alcohol, but I have tried the a alcohol marker from Prismacolor, which is a blender marker, and it works fine. So I have my odorless mineral spirits in here, and I'm going to wet it a bit with my little brush. And I am going to put it on here, on the basket here. I have it the way I want it to look, I believe. I still have some white tooth of the paper showing, but that's okay, because my mineral spirits, they're going to get me right. Because what it does, it melts the wax. And what I find is that these pencils, they work very well with the mineral spirits. But of course, you have to be sure that you put down enough pigment on the page. When I first started using the odorless mineral spirit, I actually didn't put down enough, and I thought, what's wrong? But I just didn't put down enough pigment. And a kind colorist, Miss Sherry, she told me how to do certain things and what to do. One of the things you should know too, if I want to, after this dries, I can come in here and put more color pencil, which I will probably do. Okay, I have that. While that is drying, I'm going to use my Venetian red up here. And I am going to color, this is the rim of the basket, the top of the basket here, or flower pot. It has flowers in here, but I think of it as a flower basket. I'm not going to color this whole thing. This is for demonstration purposes only. And you see, the color comes down on the paper pretty nicely. I'm going to let this pigment here be my blender, so to speak. So I'm light-handed here, which this part is going to be light, and this part around the top and the bottom, they're going to be darker. I'm going to do the same thing over here. And I'm not putting down a lot of pressure at all, and I'm still getting pigment on the page, which I can definitely appreciate. Of course, the heavier I go with my pressure, the more pigment gets placed on the paper. And I can go in now. I'm going to take some of my mineral spirit, straighten it out. And then I'm going to also probably go in with some more pencil. If I want to, I can go in with more pencil here. I don't know about you, but I like to color. I like for things to look rustic. I'm going to definitely go down up under here to do a little bit more shadow. I'm going to go back in here with my Copper Beach. Just kind of give it a little bit more color in the area that I wanted to show that little shadow, to have that little shadow appearance. Okay. And then if I want to go back over the rim, I can. That is it for the elements. But the thing you need to know about these pencils is that they are pencils that go down on the paper pretty softly. Not in a sense where they go down like a Prismacolor or they feel waxy. They feel soft and smooth, but they are pretty much in between, I would say, polychromos and Prismacolors. They're in between those, where this one is not as hard, I would say, as the polychromos. These are like a notch below the polychromos, because I've seen where people say these are harder, but to me these are not harder than the polychromos. I think people say that maybe because polychromos has more pigment. It seems like it's more saturated. Well, these colors, to me, they're pigmented and they're saturated, but it is I guess, the Derwent way to have it look more muted and more natural. Overall, I really like these pencils. I like them so much, of course, that I bought a larger set. What I like about Derwent's color palette is that it is not too boom in your face, like really just popping color. But the colors they give me antique, muted, yeah, that type of vibe. So if I want my colorings to look like that, I will use these pencils. And most of the time when I use these pencils, I am going for a soft look, but they still are vibrant in their own type of muted way. I think they are smooth. They are easy to control. You have great balance with these pencils because you can get a look with these pencils where you are light-handed and you're going in with light pressure to get that soft look. When you also want the colors to pop and have more vibrancy, then you're going to go in and put more layers, and you can build that up without worrying about it looking muddy. Also, you get a great balance between layering potential and precision. So if you want to go in there and do certain little details, you can do that because the pencil maintains a sharp point for a while, okay? Because it's a harder pencil, but it's not like super duper hard. I think these pencils will be nice for beginners and more experienced colorists, especially if you enjoy detailed work or depth with layers. Honestly, they have been a joy to work with today. I love these pencils. They're one of my favorites. A lot of people don't like them, but if you are someone who likes to layer and also control the amount of pigment you put on the page, then for me, I find it easier for me to do it with these pencils than with some other pencils that I have. Thank you so much for spending some coloring time with me today. If you enjoyed this cozy swatching session and mini demo, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. Any questions or comments that you may have, feel free to put them below in the comment section. I always try to respond back to you when I can. Until next time, keep calm and keep coloring. Bye.